What if the person you look down on today ends up being the one who changes everything tomorrow? Life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it, and this story about Chiamaka, the maid everyone mocked and treated as less than human, will leave you questioning how you treat others. Imagine being overlooked, mocked, and treated as if you're nothing, only to discover that you hold the key to a truth that will turn the tables on everyone who doubted you. This isn't just a story, it's a wake-up call, a lesson about humility, resilience, and the unseen power of destiny. It's a reminder that no one stays in the same place forever, and you should never judge someone by where they are today. So, if you love stories that inspire, challenge, and keep you hooked until the very last word, stay tuned. And don't forget to subscribe to Savanna for more tales that leave you thinking long after they're told. In the heart of Damboro, Chiamaka worked tirelessly in the home of Madame Onyeka, a prominent socialite and businesswoman who prided herself on her luxurious lifestyle. The sprawling mansion sat in one of the city's wealthiest neighborhoods, with gleaming marble floors, ornate furniture, and sparkling chandeliers. Yet, for all its opulence, Chiamaka found herself trapped within its walls as an invisible presence, a maid who was seen but not valued. Chiamaka was a petite, soft-spoken young woman in her early 20s with a striking resemblance to her late mother. Her almond-shaped eyes, caramel-toned skin, and delicate features often hinted at a story far greater than her current circumstances, though no one cared to ask. Her workday began at dawn when she prepared breakfast for Madame Onyeka's family, cleaned the house from top to bottom, and ensured everything ran smoothly. Madame Onyeka was a force to be reckoned with. She exuded power and sophistication, always dressed in expensive Ankara designs paired with gold jewelry. But beneath the polished exterior lay a sharp tongue and a dismissive attitude. She never missed an opportunity to remind Chiamaka of her position. "You're just a maid," Madame Onyeka often said, waving a manicured hand dismissively. "Don't get comfortable thinking you're part of this family." Her children, Chike and Ngozi, mirrored their mother's arrogance. Chike, a 25-year-old who had failed to secure a steady job, spent his days partying with friends and flaunting his mother's wealth. Ngozi, 21 and equally spoiled, saw Chiamaka as nothing more than a servant to cater to her whims. "Chiamaka, bring my bag. Chiamaka, iron my dress." Her demands were endless, and her gratitude was non-existent. Despite the mistreatment, Chiamaka remained resilient. She worked diligently, often recalling her mother's words, "No matter what life throws at you, Chiamaka, carry yourself with dignity." Her mother had passed away when Chiamaka was just a teenager, leaving her orphaned and vulnerable. With no family to turn to, she had taken the job with Madame Onyeka out of necessity. Chiamaka's sanctuary was her small, windowless room tucked away in the servants' quarters. Here, she kept a few precious belongings, a photo of her mother, a worn Bible, and a journal where she poured out her thoughts and dreams. She often wrote about escaping her current life, imagining a world where she wasn't confined to servitude. Her only solace in the household was Ikenna, the family's driver. Ikenna was a kind and thoughtful man in his late 20s, always quick with a joke or a word of encouragement. "You deserve better than this, Chiamaka," he often said, his voice full of conviction. "Don't let them make you feel small." One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, Chiamaka overheard Madame Onyeka speaking with a group of friends. They laughed about how easy it was to exploit low-class people like their maids and drivers. Chiamaka's heart sank, but she was determined not to let their words break her spirit. Little did Chiamaka know, her life was about to change forever. The next day, a stranger arrived at the gate, a man in a crisp suit carrying a briefcase. He asked to speak with Chiamaka, setting off a chain of events that would unravel secrets long buried and alter the course of her life. The morning sun was just beginning to cast its golden rays over the sprawling mansion when the doorbell echoed through the halls. Chiamaka, as always, hurried to answer it, her apron tied neatly around her waist. Standing at the gate was a sharply dressed man, his suit crisp and tailored, a leather briefcase in hand. His expression was stern but not unkind. "Good morning," he said, adjusting his glasses. "I'm looking for Miss Chiamaka." Chiamaka froze. It was rare for anyone outside the household to address her by name, let alone in such a formal manner. She glanced nervously at the man, unsure of his intentions. "I'm Chiamaka," she replied cautiously. The man gave a slight nod, stepping closer. "My name is Barrister Oluko. I'm here on a matter of great importance. May we speak in private?" Before Chiamaka could respond, Madame Onika's voice rang out from behind her. "What is the meaning of this?" she demanded, striding toward the door, her heels clicking against the marble floor. "Who are you, and why are you asking for my maid?" Barrister Oluko turned to Madame Onika, his tone calm but firm. "Good morning, ma'am. My business here concerns Miss Chiamaka alone. I would appreciate it if you could grant us some privacy." Madame Onika bristled, her eyes narrowing. "Anything you have to say to her, you can say in my presence. This is my house." Barrister Oluko hesitated for a moment before turning back to Chiamaka. "Very well. Miss Chiamaka, I am here to inform you that you are the sole heir to your late grandfather's estate." His name was Chief Amodi Ik, a prominent businessman who built a vast fortune in real estate and agriculture. Chiamaka's heart skipped a beat. Chief Amodi Ik. The name was vaguely familiar, but it felt like a distant dream, a fragment of a past she had long forgotten. "My grandfather," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Yes," Barrister Oluko confirmed. "Your grandfather passed away several years ago, but his estate was never settled due to complications involving your uncle, Mr. Eze. He has been managing the estate under false pretenses, claiming that you were deceased." The words hit Chiamaka like a thunderclap. Her mind raced as she tried to piece together the fragments of her childhood. She remembered her mother mentioning her father's wealth but never in detail. They had lived modestly, and her mother rarely spoke about their extended family. Madame Onika, meanwhile, had gone pale. "There must be some mistake," she interjected. "Chiamaka is just a maid. She couldn't possibly be related to someone as prominent as Chief Amodik." Barrister Oluko's expression hardened. "There is no mistake. I have conducted extensive research and verified the lineage. Miss Chiamaka is Chief Amodi's only legitimate heir." Chiamaka felt her knees weaken, but she steadied herself against the doorframe. "Why are you telling me this now?" she asked, her voice trembling. Barrister Oluko softened slightly. "I've been trying to locate you for months. It wasn't easy, given the false information provided by your uncle. But now that I've found you, it's time to reclaim what is rightfully yours." Madame Onika's shock quickly turned to anger. "This is absurd. Chiamaka doesn't even know anything about this so-called inheritance. Why should she trust you?" Barrister Oluko ignored Madame Onika's outburst and handed Chiamaka a neatly bound folder. "Inside are all the legal documents proving your claim. I will guide you through the process of securing your inheritance and dealing with any disputes that may arise." Chiamaka stared at the folder in disbelief. The weight of the revelation settled heavily on her shoulders. She had spent years being treated as less than, only to discover that she was the rightful heir to a fortune she never knew existed. Madame Onika's gaze shifted between Chiamaka and the lawyer, her mind racing with thoughts of how to keep her maid and her household under control. "This is ridiculous," she hissed. "Chiamaka, don't let this man fill your head with nonsense. You belong here, working for me." For the first time, Chiamaka met Madam Onyeka's eyes with a newfound resolve. "I think I need to hear him out," she said quietly. Barrister Oluko nodded approvingly. "Miss Chiamaka, I suggest we meet in my office tomorrow to discuss the next steps. This is your chance to reclaim your rightful place." As Barrister Oluko left, Madam Onyeka turned to Chiamaka, her face a mask of fury. "Don't let this get to your head," she snapped. "You're still nothing without this house." But Chiamaka didn't respond. She clutched the folder tightly, her mind spinning with questions. Who was Chief Amodi Ik, really? Why had her uncle lied? And most importantly, what did this mean for her future? That night, as she sat alone in her small room, Chiamaka opened the folder. The documents inside told a story of wealth, betrayal, and a legacy that was hers to claim. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to dream of a life beyond servitude. The morning air was tense as Chiamaka made her way to Barrister Oluko's office in the heart of the city. The office was located in a towering building surrounded by the bustling sounds of Damboro, vendors calling out, the distant hum of motorbikes, and the occasional honk of car horns. Chiamaka clutched the folder tightly, her thoughts racing as she stepped into the sleek reception area. A receptionist guided her into a spacious office filled with shelves of law books and certificates. Barrister Oluko greeted her warmly, motioning for her to sit. "Miss Chiamaka, thank you for coming," he said, his voice calm but serious. "We have much to discuss." As they sat, Barrister Oluko explained the intricacies of her grandfather's estate. Chief Amodi Ik had been one of Damboro's most successful real estate moguls, owning several properties across the city and beyond. His estate was valued at billions of naira, but after his passing, her uncle, Eze, had manipulated the legal process to gain control of it. "Your uncle claimed you and your mother died in a tragic accident years ago," Barrister Oluko said, sliding a document across the desk. He produced forged death certificates to support his claims. He's been using the wealth for his own benefit ever since. Chiamaka felt her stomach churn as she scanned the document. Her uncle's name stared back at her, mocking her years of struggle and servitude. "Why would he do this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Greed," Oluko replied simply. "Your grandfather's will was clear. His wealth was to go to his only surviving child, your mother. After her death, it automatically transferred to you. Your uncle saw an opportunity to take everything, and he did." Chiamaka's mind flashed back to her childhood. She had vague memories of her uncle Eze. After her mother's death, he had visited her only once, leaving her in the care of distant relatives before disappearing entirely. "But why didn't my grandfather look for us before he died?" she asked. Barrister Oluko sighed. "Your grandfather was a proud man, and his relationship with your mother was strained. When she chose to marry your father, a man he deemed beneath her, he cut ties. It's a tragic story, but one that's all too common." The weight of the revelations settled heavily on Chiamaka's shoulders. She had spent years being ridiculed and dismissed, all while a fortune meant for her was stolen. She clenched her fist, a spark of determination igniting within her. "What do I need to do to reclaim my inheritance?" Oluko smiled, pleased by her resolve. "First, we'll need to file a formal case against your uncle. I've already gathered evidence, but your testimony will be crucial. Be prepared for a fight. Your uncle won't let go of the estate easily." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings. Oluko's team filed petitions, summoned witnesses, and gathered more evidence of Ezea's fraud. The story quickly spread, making headlines in local newspapers. "Heir to billionaire's estate found," the headlines blared, and Chiamaka's once anonymous life was thrust into the spotlight. Back at Madam Onyeka's home, the tension was palpable. Madame Onyeka had grown increasingly hostile, her once condescending remarks now tinged with bitterness. "So, you think you're a big woman now, eh?" she sneered one evening. "Let's see how far you get before the world chews you up and spits you out." Chike and Ngozi were no better. Chike mocked her relentlessly. "Don't forget where you came from, Chiamaka. Even if you get money, you'll still have the heart of a maid." Ngozi, on the other hand, tried to guilt-trip her. "After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us? Leaving us in disgrace." Despite their taunts, Chiamaka remained focused. Ikenna, the driver, became her confidant, offering words of encouragement. "They're just scared of losing control over you," he said one evening as they sat by the garden. "You're stronger than they ever gave you credit for." The legal battle reached its climax in a packed courtroom. Uncle Eze, defiant and unrepentant, accused Chiamaka of being an imposter. "She's nothing but a servant," he shouted, his voice echoing in the courtroom. "She doesn't deserve any of this." But Barrister Oluko was prepared. He presented document after document, witness after witness, dismantling Eze's lies piece by piece. The final blow came when a former associate of Eze testified about his role in forging the death certificates. The courtroom erupted in murmurs, and Eze's face drained of color. In the end, the judge ruled in Chiamaka's favor. "The estate of Chief Amodi Ik is hereby awarded to his rightful heir, Miss Chiamaka Ik," the judge declared. Cheers erupted from Chiamaka's supporters, while Eze was led away in handcuffs to face charges of fraud and forgery. As Chiamaka stepped out of the courtroom, a crowd of reporters swarmed her, microphones thrust in her face. "How does it feel to reclaim your inheritance?" one asked. Chiamaka paused, her gaze steady. "This isn't just about wealth," she said. "It's about justice. No one should ever be underestimated or taken advantage of. Everyone deserves respect, no matter where they start." Chiamaka stood in the middle of the grand estate she had just reclaimed, a sprawling mansion surrounded by lush gardens and fountains. The house, once managed and exploited by her uncle Eze, now symbolized her victory and a new beginning. She could hardly believe it. Just weeks ago, she was living in a cramped servant's room, and now, she was the rightful owner of a fortune she had never dreamed of. Chiamaka's eyes misted as she took in the opulence of the estate. The walls were adorned with portraits of her grandfather, Chief Amodi Ik, a man she had never met but whose legacy was now intertwined with hers. As she walked through the house, she felt both overwhelmed and determined. This was no longer just about inheriting wealth, it was about building something meaningful from it. The days that followed were a whirlwind of changes. Chiamaka moved out of Madame Onyeka's home, much to the household's dismay. Madame Onyeka made no effort to hide her bitterness. "You think this will make you better than us?" she sneered as Chiamaka packed her belongings. "Mark my words, you'll come crawling back." Chiamaka didn't respond. She had outgrown the insults and condescension. With Ikenna's help, she moved into the estate, leaving behind the life of servitude that had defined her for so long. Ikenna, ever supportive, drove her to the estate and stayed to help her settle in. "You deserve this, Chiamaka," he said as they unloaded her few belongings. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Though the estate was luxurious, Chiamaka was determined not to let it change who she was. She insisted on learning how to manage her newfound wealth, attending meetings with Barrister Oluko and financial advisors to understand the intricacies of her grandfather's businesses. She wanted to honor the legacy she had inherited, not squander it. One of Chiamaka's first acts as the new owner of the estate was to establish a foundation in her grandfather's name. Chief Amodi Ik believed in hard work and community, she announced at a press conference. "It's time to use this wealth to uplift others who, like me, have been overlooked and underestimated." The foundation focused on providing scholarships, vocational training, and microloans for small business owners. Applications for the scholarships poured in, and her foundation quickly became a respected institution. Despite her success, Chiamaka couldn't entirely escape her past. Madame Onyeka's family struggled without her. The house fell into disarray, and the family almost going bankruptcy. Ngozi, unable to maintain her lifestyle, reached out to Chiamaka. Chiamaka, Ngozi said one day, appearing at the gates of the estate, her tone dripping with desperation. "I know we didn't treat you well, but we are family, aren't we? Surely you can help us now that you have all this money." Chiamaka felt a mix of anger and pity. Family. The word felt hollow coming from Ngozi, who had spent years belittling her. But she also remembered her mother's teachings about kindness. "I'll help you," Chiamaka said finally, "but not because you deserve it, because it's the right thing to do." Ngozi's face flushed with a mix of relief and shame. "Thank you," she whispered. Chiamaka arranged for Ngozi to receive job training through her foundation, insisting that she earn her way rather than rely on handouts. It was a lesson in humility that Ngozi sorely needed. Madame Onyeka, however, was not as willing to change. She continued to spread rumors about Chiamaka, accusing her of abandoning the people who made her who she was. When Madame Onyeka confronted Chiamaka at a charity gala, accusing her of being ungrateful, Chiamaka's response was poised yet firm. "I don't owe you anything, Madame Onyeka. My success doesn't diminish you, it only reflects what you chose not to see in me." Her attempts to discredit Chiamaka backfired when her own financial troubles came to light. It turned out that she had been drowning in debt, using her children's extravagant lifestyle as a facade. On the other hand, Ikenna remained by Chiamaka's side. One evening, as they sat in the estate's garden under a starry sky, Ikenna turned to her, expressing his feelings. "Chiamaka, I've always believed in you, even when others didn't. And I want you to know that I'll always be here for you. You've taught me so much about resilience and kindness." Chiamaka smiled, her heart full. "And you've shown me what it means to have a true friend," she replied. Their bond grew stronger, hinting a clear possibility of a future beyond friendship. Ngozi, now enrolled in job training through Chiamaka's foundation, was no longer the spoiled girl with a sense of entitlement but a humbled individual working alongside others who had faced real hardship. Through the program, Ngozi began to understand the value of hard work and the privilege she had once squandered. One day, she approached Chiamaka with tears in her eyes. "I was wrong to treat you the way I did," Ngozi confessed. "You've shown me what it means to rise above bitterness, and I'm sorry." Chiamaka accepted her apology. "Change doesn't happen overnight," Chiamaka said. "But it's never too late to start." Uncle Eze, now in custody for fraud, made one final attempt to contact Chiamaka. In a desperate letter, he blamed his actions on jealousy and greed, asking for forgiveness. Chiamaka visited him in prison, standing tall as he pleaded for her understanding. "I forgive you, Uncle Eze," she said, her voice steady. "Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace." Her words marked the end of a painful chapter, allowing her to move forward without the burden of resentment. Chiamaka's story became a powerful message: never underestimate anyone, no matter how lowly they may seem. Everyone has the potential for greatness if given a chance. Her foundation grew into a citywide movement, empowering people to believe in their worth and potential. Chiamaka's journey reminds us all of one simple truth: no matter where you begin, your story holds the power to inspire and transform. She rose from a place of pain and rejection to become a beacon of hope, proving that resilience and kindness can conquer even the darkest chapters of life. Her legacy wasn't just in her success, it was in the lives she touched, the second chances she offered, and the hope she sparked in others. She showed us that no one's worth should ever be underestimated and that every challenge is an opportunity to rise above. As Chiamaka stepped into her brighter future, her story became a powerful reminder to all: never give up, never underestimate yourself, and always choose compassion over bitterness. If Chiamaka's story moved you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who might need a spark of hope, and subscribe to Savanna Storytime for more inspiring tales. Let's continue sharing stories that empower, uplift, and remind us of the strength within us all. See you next time.